the years, we've communicated and lined these opportunities up. I want to thank him and all the elders for giving me this opportunity. And then when I get here, Chris just gets me loaded and going. And I guess I should say newlywed Chris, eh? But anyway, wish him all the happiness in the world. But it is good to be here. And I'm amazed when I think about what this church has meant to the work in Africa. Now, first of all, what it means to this community, and amen, brother, that is as important what you do here and your presence here as it is in the way that you help in Africa. And but I was just a little boy. When you all, as a church family here in Beaumont, were starting to help in Africa. Now, I'm not going to tell you my age, but I mean, it was a while back, And it was certainly before I was shaving and before I was singing bass, So I just am thankful for this partnership that we have, because you started with helping in Zimbabwe, and now we're in 7 different countries in Southern Africa. And so what I want to show you tonight, I share with great excitement. And so I got it turned on, so, okay. So first of all, that's my favorite animal in all the world. Now, I love lion cubs, and I play with them every time I go. I've got a friend that raises lions, and so he always has a bevy of cubs, And so I've got I guess I should say a pride, I guess. But anyway, he's got these little guys running around, and until about 2.5 years old. And when they get to 2.5 years old, then you don't mess with them anymore. They still would like to play a little bit, but when they start playing, they knock you down to the ground. And they're just playing. So anyway, whatever I'm going to share with you tonight, I want you to know that you are a part of this. We are partners. We started 17 years ago. And can you imagine all those wells we've drilled? Some of you have given at different times and different points as a church, separately. Others all across the nation have done that. And can you imagine, there are people every single day that get clean water from our wells, over 400,000 people. And we've got I just want you to know, there's a method to this, okay? We don't just drill randomly. It's where we're either going to plant a church or where we've got a church already, because we want them to know living water. So excited about that. That's one we just finished at a school in Zambia. That is the deputy headmistress, and she was baptized 5 days later. We brought the water. She wanted to know who we were. We would love to share with you the message. We love questions like that, So what happens? You get a well. What do you do with a lot of the wells? Well, most of the people are starving. So you bring the water, and then you teach them drip irrigation, and before you know it, you've got all kinds of gross, potential for 2 things. Number 1, to feed their families and their community, and number 2, to start micro businesses. And you get water all year round, which most people don't in Africa, then you've got something special. I want just to show you that. That's a small picture of our, this year, 15,000 tomato plants. That, by the way, support our clinic, our free clinic, through agriculture. So those tomatoes are amazing. 2 crops a year, 9 months summer, 3 months early spring. So you can grow crops, going like that. So we've got our well ministry, but one of the things that we realized in the last 2 years, which we implemented last year, is you're always looking for avenues. How can, the Great Commission going to all the world, the methods are left up to us. There's no method written down there, it's just, so in rural Africa, there is tremendous poverty, and when people lose a loved one, most of them cannot afford a coffin. They wrap up the body maybe in linens and then just drop it in the hole. So what we have started doing is we will go into a rural area where a loved one has passed on. And this was actually a teenage girl that died in a hut that caught fire. And we built the coffin, and people come from other villages to mourn, and they spend about 3 to 4 days mourning, and we bring food in for the families. And then we will counsel, comfort as much as we can. But it is another way to show Jesus. And we are so glad that we began this compassionate ministry. We have sponsored children. I think we're sending about 300 children to school now. That's besides the feeding program we have. But this is a father and a daughter that sponsor this boy, and they were in Africa with him. And he's an orphan. Both parents had died of AIDS. And so now he's been given a chance of a lifetime, meaning he can get an education. And they are making that possible. Our ACT project is shipping clothes over there, farming equipment, biblical material, Bibles. You could put so much on a container. And 45 containers have been sent, about 1,200 boxes or so you can do the math, and figure out how many boxes we've sent. We are thankful to Walmart that has provided most of them. But I do want you to know, you'll see a name there, Dominica, because we, years ago, Sherry and I, my wife and I, and our children were missionaries in the Caribbean, and some of these islands get hit by hurricanes continually, and so we've started even shipping containers to the islands as well, besides Africa. We have shipped the last container that is arriving in Eswatini will have 5,000 Bibles. Lovely Bibles that if Lifeway Books existed still, stores, they would probably cost about $60 or $70. But Apologetics Press, seeing what we were doing, said, how many Bibles do you need? I said need 5,000 for this container, but probably 5,000 for the next container. And they said, you got it. That's besides their study Bibles that would probably run about $110 to $150. And we've got that there too for preachers and elders as well. So we wouldn't be able to do that if we didn't have that avenue. And so we're thankful. Chris, I'm not getting any reaction, yeah? Yeah, thanks so much. So that's the container that just arrived in Dominica. This is the clothes being unloaded. This is a container that has also just arrived in Eswatini. It used to be Swaziland. It's now Eswatini. This is in South Africa, where I was born in Cape Town. We're distributing clothes there to the community. And the strange, some of it's rural, some of it in the Dominicans up in the mountains. This is in high density Cape Town, a city of 4.5 million people, gangs all around this congregation. And yet they said, we're not moving anywhere because this is where God wants us to be. We also have the Mom Project. And that's currently we're feeding about a little over 3,000 orphans and at-risk children weekly. Besides, we have kept, because of they've had the worst drought in Southern Africa in 100 years. And we have kept 800 families, rural families, alive just by providing them food. But I want you to see that guy. He's on my left, on your right. And he knew I was taking the picture. He wasn't going to look at me, but he's going to keep eating. But I want you to know, when he walked up to our feeding, his grandmother brought him, and all he had was a set of underwear. That's all he was wearing. He had no shoes, nothing. And so we clothed him. You couldn't buy those shoes in Zimbabwe. We put shoes on him. We put sweats on him. He's got his jacket. Now, June and July in Zimbabwe is winter. So he's got his jacket on, and now he's got his food, and Merry Christmas in July. That's all I can say. So years children we feed on a basis. You'll notice some of the children are holding up a soap bar. So we will feed them, and then we'll give them stuff to take home. That is a bar of soap that is used for washing their bodies, washing the dishes, washing clothes. They planted their crop, and the rains didn't come. And so that's why we've been helping with drought relief. And let me just say, one of those bags, about 22.2 pounds, can feed a family for a month, a family of 4. So we give them more than one, of course, but that's one meal a day. So this is my 3 grandsons. with one of the young preachers there. And so the grandson on the right, dressed in black, called me. Somebody said to me about a year or so ago, said, "Dorion, you're getting on in years. I mean, how's this gonna get?" Well, first of all, I bit my tongue because I don't like, none of us wants to be reminded of aging. But the point is my son has started working with us full time, Lee, and then my grandson called me and he says, "Granddaddy, I want to work with Partners full time." So he's at Heritage Christian University. He's also going to probably transfer to Harding, get a business degree, but he's working with us full time now too. So the Lord takes care. So if he does tarry, we've got generations coming, So this is some of the other distribution that we did. I just want you to see the different areas where we gave. This is one of the trucks we have. We've got now an infrastructure where we can deliver. We've got people that takes care of it. So when people give us money for food, well, Dorion, how quick can we get this to people? Right away. We've got the transport, we've got the people, we've got the know-how, so we are thankful. And the guy on the right there, next to my grandson Tristan, is Haley Malungani, and he's our deputy director in Zimbabwe, a Zimbabwean that works with us all through Southern Africa. And we were delivering food in Zambia. That was in the country of Zambia, also delivering that. And the reason I want you to see that picture is people are eating one meal maybe every 3 or 4 days until we bring food. And when that truck pulled up, nobody rushed the truck. They all sat there and waited for their names to be called. And you know why? One reason is because their family structure there in Africa is still strong. They are taught to respect, and they are taught manners, and they are taught that. Well, do you know that when a mother becomes a grandmother, she is served. She is served by her daughters and daughter-in-laws. So anyway, So years ago, we were giving food to a nursing home, and we were glad to give them food. This is a Cape Town inner city kitchen that we got going. I just want you to see the good works that are going on. Now, we do all those good works. Main point is we want people to go to heaven. That's it. Want them to know Jesus. Want them to live this life with a companion that can take them beyond all the challenges that they face in this life. So we have evangelism going on, planting, growing. Right here is a new church that just been planted in Zambia. 13 were baptized at a new church where we had just planted. This is Apologetics Press has a lot of material, and we are putting them into public schools, and we are thankful. When you drill a well at a public school, or when you start bringing some food by, you can do all kinds of things, like bring in your own curriculum as far as religious studies is concerned. And that's what we are doing in Africa now, and so excited. This was a family we just converted, gave them Bibles, a new congregation that was planted actually in Dominica, where we gave them Bibles. A university student, we have this ongoing studies with universities in Southern Africa, because, kind of like Jesus said, the poor will always be with you. Well, in Africa, that's true, but we want to reach all stratas of society. And so we go into universities, we do seminars. And so this guy obeyed the gospel, gave him the Bible, and brought then 13 more of his friends, and we got ongoing studies with them. This is a school in Dominica. It's a public school, and those teachers were so excited to get Bibles. And I just go, isn't that, just fantastic. Oh, by the way, let me check. If you talk about Africa, you got to talk about animals a little bit. Did you know that elephants love oranges? There is this place, it might be a hook for you to come sometime, besides all the good works that you can participate in. On the border of Zambia and South Africa, you can Google it. There's these people that has this farm. And I say a farm, it's a citrus farm. They've got 1,000 acres of orange trees, and they are just about to bring another 1,000 acres online. The problem is in that area between South Africa and Zimbabwe, there is all kinds of wildlife, and the elephants have discovered the oranges, and they love them. So what do? You go, shoo, shoo? I don't think so. So on their place, they've got a mini canyon. And any given day, they ship like 15 to 20,000 boxes of oranges a day all over the world. But they'll keep grade A's, and then all the ones that are below grade A, they throw them into a truck. Several trucks, actually, and they take them to this canyon and they dump them there. It's been fantastic because the elephants have gone, oh, okay, and they've all started going there. But what you can do is, we traveled there, we spent the night there, and you can sit over the canyon. It's a restaurant, and they will serve you a lovely meal. You take your time. It's about 4 courses. You don't rush, because while you're sitting there, the elephants are coming, and they're coming with other animals to eat the oranges. And what a sight. Just an amazing sight to see all of these elephants just eating and interacting with baboons and with all other kinds of deer, you know. So anyway, a little hook. Youth, my grandson is training, and he's already been with us the last 10 years to Africa. So, but he's got to the point now, he's turned 20, and he's really working on, because he's going to head up our youth ministry. And we've got a lot of youth activities going on in Southern Africa. All of these young guys have obeyed the gospel. This is a church that we just planted with actually a group of youth that we did a camp with. But the preacher there was so excited because he wanted me to come see their building. Now, you all got a unique building here, which was, I think, a YMCA at one time. He wanted me to come see his building because he said, Brother Flynn, the brethren surprised me and they made me a pulpit. It was out of bricks. You know, they got their own kiln. They made their own bricks, you know. And then he said, but here is well, I say, he didn't say it. This is the icing on the cake, is they've been sitting on the floor and now we have pews. Oh yeah. Now you think of what we sit in. You got to go sit for 2 hours on that pew, you know. But they are excited about it, you know. By the way, let me just say this. I don't say this to take you on a guilt trip. One reason that all this evangelism has been done is because of the generosity of the brethren here in the States, and I thank you for it. I believe that's one reason why this country continues to be blessed. We're not perfect. We've got problems. But I'm telling you, America has always been generous. Always. This is another new church we just planted. And just to let you know, 104 congregations planted in 17 years that you've been a part of. So the graph is pointing up. The church is in a sweet spot in Southern Africa. And we're just excited about it. I've got to change that number. I just got word today, a report from Zimbabwe, that our baptisms so far this year are 905. So far this year. And we just planted a new church this weekend, so it's 4 congregations, so I've got to update the slide. But we got elderships appointed, we got 32 leadership seminars going on. You can't baptize that many people and not have some sort of program to mature not only the leaders, but to mature the brethren. So when they come up out of the water, you don't say cross your fingers and say good luck, you know. No, we want to plug you in, not only with Bible studies, but with the work of the church. And we've got all kinds of activities that people can gravitate towards. And so anyway, some of the gatherings that we've had I just got back about a month ago. So this was one gathering we had about 800 at one of the congregations, and just to see the growth of the church. We had 1,000 here that day out in the rural areas. Now you see me laugh because one of the guys, there was 4 guys counting, and he came up to me and he said there was 998 people there. And I said, do not tell a preacher 998. There's no such number. And God knows of at least 5 women that are pregnant right now that you don't know of. So anyway, it was close. but I mean, these were honest guys. They were cloudy. Some of our leadership programming that's going on. We do collective where we bring a lot of elders and ministers together, but then in also certain smaller regions like towns and villages, we will have on a monthly basis, we will have preachers come and they will study. On the quarterly, we will deal with issues that all churches are facing. So it's proved to be really strengthening to the church. This is Shaq Orrington. Now, I just got this picture up here because he lives in Nacogdoches, Texas. And the reason I got his picture up there, he said to me 23 years ago, he said, I want to go to Africa with you. And he came. And he's come every year since then. The first time he came, so I'm just warning you if you do come, we were landing at Bush International from Africa. And he turned to me and he said, you've ruined my life. Because I was content just to live in East Texas. We've got a radio program going as well, and we've had 45 to obey the gospel this year in Zambia. This was a gathering at our school, at our high school, a great service that we had, and the year we had over 1,000. This is our school. You know, we built this was in Zimbabwe, we built a clinic. It's a free clinic. You saw how we support it. This is a school, a high school. It is only a high school in that area. So this Christian high school gets everybody from, we get everybody that we could possibly take. There's no other high school. Government doesn't have one either. So it's Amazon Christian Academy. And we're just about to complete our third year. So next year is our first graduating class. So please pray for us there. I just want you to see what we've built in rural Africa. Do you know that that probably about 80 plus, probably about 81, 82% of our students all live in mud huts, have no power, no running water, and then they come to this. And so you can see we're off the grid. We are trying to, my wife and I, when we decided to build, that we were going to build in Africa, first of all, we don't build church buildings, and we don't raise money for preachers. We want the work to be as independent as possible, so that one day when we take our last breath, if the Lord tarries, we want to know that they are self-supporting. So the school is built within that framework, okay? So we're off the grid, we've got our own water, and we build in income streams. Right now, we're over 225 head of cattle, which at the end of the year will give us $50,000 US, or pay for half of the teachers' salaries. And in 2.5 years or so, we'll pay all the teachers' salaries from our cattle. So we're doing everything that we can. But I am raising money to build the infrastructure as far as our school is concerned, and then say, okay, take it and go with it. Can you imagine coming from a mud hut at 8 o'clock? Actually, they left at 6, some of them, because it takes them an hour and a half to walk to school for some of them. And they got there, and they were on the World Wide Web. I mean, they just couldn't believe it, you know? And I can't believe it because God has been so good. They're having a chance of a lifetime, just a chance of a lifetime. And we are thankful that this is an evangelistic tool. When our senior class graduates, we will have the first year of Christian college ready for them. So we're going to keep these students when they come as a freshman. We're going to keep them through 4 years of university, most of them. We're going to have them for 8 years, and when they leave, they're going to be church planters. We just got our first band. Excited, man. So excited. We got our first national champion. Now, we're 3 years old. Okay, so let me tell you what you got it in. Now, you got to realize that Zimbabwe was a British colony. A big sport, now we don't have a pub, okay? But a big sport in the pubs in England is darts. And they have national champions now, and they make all kinds of money in England. This girl just took to it, and she ended up being national champion in Zimbabwe. Boys and girls. So, okay, I don't know. She never traded. She just has a natural, I don't know, it's fantastic. This is our sports building we just finished. realize that most of these kids in their younger years suffered from malnutrition because they maybe a meal a day. Now they're coming to our school. We're feeding them the proteins. We're feeding them the vegetables and that sort of thing, So now we've got starting a brand new sports program. So we've got our sports building finished. It has the showers for girls and guys. And then we've got our weight room started. Now, the reason I show you that is because our boys are going to put on some muscle. And a muscle will cover a multitude of sins, if you know what I mean, playing to other people, because you've got to learn all the basics. But all it does is just add to what we want to do spiritually, physically, emotionally, I mean, we want the student to be holistic, but we're trying our best. But now this is what's happening. I want to tell you something. Do you know the first year nobody was baptized? Because we went and we planted a high school that people in an area of Zimbabwe that they didn't know who we were. And so the school was planted, and now they're observing us, the community, the parents. Now the parents want the children to come to the school because none of their generations have ever had high school before. They wanted them to come. But I'm telling you, that has changed big time. That was one of 7 that happened Friday. And we took 25 girls, 25 boys each year until we have our first graduating class. The school will be built for 1,200 students. But do you know that all the senior class now has obeyed the gospel? They will be the senior class, and the others are coming right along. So we are so excited, to have these young Christians. The only scholarships we give right now are Bible scholarships because we want them to know what's the most important. And so these are our 2 winners from this past year, and they get their school free for a semester, and then somebody else can try, knock them off the throne, as it were, David said, "The Lord is my shepherd." David saw the invisible in the visible. He lifted the veil. He saw God as a tender, loving shepherd. In 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7, he says, "Cast all your anxieties on him because he cares for you." Why would he bother to tell us that? Why? Because he knows that wherever we live in the globe, we are people from time to time that's just filled with all kinds of anxieties. A frightening diagnosis, financial setback, a deadline you can't meet, a relationship you can't repair, a global pandemic disrupting every part of your life, and the possibilities just go on and on and on. And when you are sitting there in the dark and you can't see, who are you going to call on? And David said, "The Lord is my shepherd." Go wherever you want to in the world. Jesus is still the answer. For as many of you as have been baptized into Christ have put on Christ. He's the answer, Galatians 3:27. With that wonderful invitation, why don't we stand and why don't we sing?